speculate, you know, who was going to get signed next, but it was a long time between signings. We played solidly for about 2 years. I would get yelled at a lot for turning the beat around, but I just hung in there because I was kind of scrappy, I guess. There were times when I offered to leave if it would strengthen the band. I never saw myself as a permanent part of it. I was always a substitute until we found the real thing.
I can't seem to face up to the facts. I'm tense and nervous and I can't relax. I can't sleep cause my bed's on fire. Don't touch me, I'm a real live wire. Psycho killer, qu'est-ce que c'est?
Our music should be thought of as like a little piece of clockwork, and that we get it worked out, and aside from accidents and whatnot, it should be more or less done the same every time. And then I could emote over that, or scream, or whatever.
You start a conversation and you can't even finish it. You're talking a lot, but you're not saying anything. When I have nothing to say, my lips are sealed.
We were disturbing, like a little hard to watch. A little bit difficult to stomach, you know. Why is he doing that? You know, why is he singing like that? Why is he squeaking? Why every time just when you think you're gonna like this stuff, does he turn around and do exactly the thing that's gonna drive you away?
After a couple of unspectacular singles, Denis Denis launched Debbie Harry and Blondie into superstardom.
Denis, Denis, oh, with your eyes so blue. Denis, Denis, I got a crush on you. Denis, Denis, I'm so in love with you.
Everybody forgets the tremendous amount of flack that Debbie got for being overtly sexual as a woman, whereas, you know, the guys could do it and nobody blinked.
You're 19, and I'm in heaven every time I look at you.
People were saying we were terrible musically, and the only reason we got over was because, you know, I was cute or something. But I think we went beyond that.
Denis, Denis, avec tes yeux c'est bleu. Denis, Denis, quand j'ai flashé nos deux. Denis, Denis.
Out of the major groups, we were the last ones to be picked up on by the immediate media. But it's funny that we went further in the long run. But everybody calls us Blandy and all this stuff, you know.
Blondie's third album, Parallel Lines, shot them into the world charts. It was produced by arch popster Mike Chapman, who'd had a string of hits with the likes of Mud, Susie Quattro, and Sweet.
He beat us into this professional stance that we were absolutely unprepared for. He was like an athletic trainer where you would lift something until you couldn't do it anymore, and then you do it one more time, and that would be the right one.
The Ramones, too, were about to work with the top pop producer, Phil Spector. His legendary perfectionism failed to endear him to the band.
It's just some sort of neuroses and craziness. You can't do anything perfect. Always one song is going to be the worst song on the record, no matter what, no matter how great they all are. And then you're going to think, oh, that one shouldn't have been on. Maybe we could have wrote something better. There's always going to be a problem. You're never going to be satisfied. Hit the opening chord in Rock and Roll High School. He listens to it for about 4 hours. We didn't even get to even play the song. He stamps around, cursing, yelling at the producer, the engineer. Go back, hit the chord again. Hit the chord again. Listens to it for 3 more hours. This just went on all night. You know, it was just ridiculous. We had words, and then after that, we worked a little quicker, and things went a little smoother after that.
The Patti Smith Group were the first of the New York bands to embark on a major US tour. They were determined to carry their improvisatory brand of rock into the mainstream.
She always insisted that in the course of a show, we do something we never did before. And a lot of times that involved, you know, a half an hour of wandering in the wilderness.
There wasn't much illusion about what that group was about. It was about her and furthering her vision. And we were subservient to that. You know, she was a benevolent despot, and that was okay with us because we were all fans.
She never would let me play a solo the same way. And during Pale Blue Eyes, over the course of 2 months, I worked out what I thought was the perfect solo. And after about a couple weeks of playing it, she looked over me, she says, you know, I've heard that before.
In January 1977, Patti Smith sustained serious injuries when she fell off stage.
We were playing in Tampa, Florida, and on a fairly large stage that we're sort of unaccustomed to. And it wasn't lit very well, and Patti sort of wandered off in the shadows and was dancing during this instrumental part of the song called Ain't It Strange. Fell over backwards. There was a monitor behind her that she couldn't see, and went down about 10 feet, hit a steel rail, and then hit a concrete floor, you know, with her head. And I saw it happening. It was just like, oh my God. You know, I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, she's either dead or she's going to climb right back up. And my second thought was like, shit, looks like I'm out of a job. You know, it's like...
I was on unemployment. You know, I even had to go work up at Show World on 42nd Street, running sound and lights for, you know, exotic dancers, as we say.
Also stalled was Richard Hell. On leaving television, he joined up with Johnny Thunders and Jerry Nolan, ex of the New York Dolls, to form the Heartbreakers. But the relationship soon turned sour.
By the end of a year playing with that band, those guys were feeling towards me a lot the way I felt towards Verlaine. You know, they thought I wanted too much control, you know. And the fact is, I did. I finally said, it's just not worth it. I want a band where it's established from the beginning that, you know, I'm in charge.
The solution was Hell's own band, the Voidoids. In 1977, they embarked on a tour of England.
That tour confirmed all the fears that I'd been having, that this whole racket wasn't really what I was best suited for. You know, it was physically miserable. I had a dope habit by that time, and I was in withdrawal the whole trip. We were forced to travel England in a mini car. There were 2 in the front seat and 3 in the back, you know, humped over the, like, the drive shaft or whatever it is going down there through, you know, driving around England, squashed together with the, you know, trailing the Clash in their big bus when they'd learned everything they knew from us, basically. And that was offensive too, because, you know, they were doing all these anti-U.S. material, like I'm so bored with the USA and stuff, you know, working up the crowd for that kind of attitude, you know. And it was the height of the gobbing, and we'd all be like dripping with spittle and mucus when we came off stage. And the record wasn't actually released in England until we'd already left. The record company didn't get it together, and it was just like miserable.
Hell made one more album, then decided he'd had enough of the rock business.
The fame thing sounded cool, but it is totally empty. It makes you feel more alone, you know. I thought it would make you feel less alone. I thought you'd go someplace, and since people knew what you did, if you had a chance to get to know them, would come to you. You know, it would be like filtering out the people who you wanted to keep away and drawing the people who you'd have something in common with. But no, you just end up horrified by the sorts of people who identify with you. You think, God, is that who I am?
Television had released the most acclaimed first album of any of the New York bands, Marquee Moon. They followed it up with Adventure. From it came a single, Foxhole. Adventure was unable to live up to the expectations raised by its predecessor. In 1978, the most praised of all the early CBGB's bands was forced out of business.
I had no idea how anything worked. Like you would, a promotional tour of Europe. When we got back, I think we would have had to have a platinum record and still not get any royalties or something, because every little cup of coffee you had in a hotel was the cost of selling a record, the royalty on the record. And we thought, oh God, you know. So we just figured, you know, do something else.
Patti Smith recovered from her fall and carried on where she left off. But Wave, her fourth album, released in 1979, hinted at her growing disenchantment with the rock business.
Yeah, when she decided, yeah, let's do So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star, you know, it's like, I think I know what might be going on.
I think we all felt that there was a next step, and as a band, we'd given each other everything that we could possibly do.
After a series of smash hits, conflicts began to surface within Blondie.
Lead singers always get more attention, and the fact that, you know, that I was the only female, you know, was a bit of a contention.
There were tensions about everything in the band. Everybody was very young, and the other members of the band really deeply, sincerely believed. I mean, I realized now they really believed that people were as interested in them as they were in Debbie.
After 6 top 10 albums and over a dozen hit singles, Blondie folded.
I mean, Chris said something to me a while back. I came over here and he says to me, he looks at me and he says, do you realize the odds against us, you know, having what happened to us? Do you realize the odds?
In 1981, Talking Heads expanded into a 9-piece. live shows were successful, record sales less so, and a bigger band meant smaller wages.
Chris and I came home to find that we had only $2,000 in our joint bank account, and we said, "Oh, how can this be?" And David Byrne and Brian Eno had told, we're off working on something else together, and they didn't. And it was the first time that David said that it would be a while before he would work with Talking Heads, and we didn't know how long it would be.
As a result of this enforced idleness, Tina Weymouth and Chris Frantz formed Tom Tom Club. Their first album went gold, something that Talking Heads had so far failed to do. But that changed the release of the film stopped making sense.
Stop Making Sense had a big effect on the way the band was perceived and the success of the band. People could go to see it and didn't have to worry about being gobbed on by punks or whatever they thought was going to happen to them. It seemed to catapult the band's popularity in a kind of surprising way.
In some ways, it kind of broke the band up, I guess. I'm not sure. Because it was like, once it was on film, it was like, I felt like David sort of said, well, this is going to tour for us. It seemed like after that, David wanted to do films and act, and that he didn't want to do the band anymore.
I had a knack for going in directions and doing things that caused tensions in the band. We got through it, but all those various things that I did, whether they were musically or creatively successful or not, they did some damage to the band.
In 1991, David Byrne announced that one of the most successful of all the CBGB's bands had split.
I did try to have some talks, but at one point the reaction was, if it's not good news, we don't want to hear it. So it makes it a little hard to make an announcement that way. I didn't handle it all that well. I doubt that anyone ever does. I could have done it a lot better. I'm sure some feelings were hurt. I know mine were hurt sometimes. The timing was not perfect. The way I could have communicated with others more. But, well, that sometimes happens.
The Ramones are the only CBGB's band still playing today, but even they've had lineup changes forced upon them. In 1990, Dee Dee left. Marky too had a spell out of the band.
From 83 to 87, I was trying to get rid of all my demons. That's the word I like to use. I was, and I loved drinking, and it was getting to me, so I had to leave, and it was amicable. And they couldn't take it anymore.
By 1987, Marky had driven out his demons. At the same time, one of the drummers brought in to replace him quit.
I figured that Ramones fans would probably most like to see Marky back in the band rather than see somebody else altogether. Heard that Mark was recovered from his drinking problem, and thought it'd be nice to give him a second chance, and got him back in the band.
And it was good to be back because we all got along again. We ended all resentments, and here we are.
In 1981, punk pioneer Wayne County changed her name to Jane and began living as a woman full-time. She's still on the road.
I can't do anything else. I've tried jobs and things, and I'm totally useless. All I can do is rock and roll. That's what I do.
That was a long, long time ago. That was a long, long time ago.
With his own satirical view on life, Armando Iannucci calls a Saturday Night Armistice next on BBC Two.